My gosh. Big round of applause for that. Big round of applause for that piece of work that my brother came up here, did, and shocked the world. They're still talking about it, and that was over a year ago when he did that piece. He has since been on tour, citizens. He has since completed about to promote his 13th season of Chicago PD. Give this man a round of applause for that. 13 seasons.
Crazy. Kevin
Atwater is up in this building, but that's not all he does. He's multi-talented, Tracy G, as you know, from television to film to theater, whatever the case may be. He to me is walking edutainment, and I want to welcome my brother back and say thank you to him, Heather B, because he actually, without cause or agenda, reaches out from time to time to say, hey, man, what's up? I'm just checking in. And in all my years of doing this, in the decades, I could count that on less than two hands how many people has done that. And so that, to me, makes you very special in my book, and you always have a place wherever I have a place. I want to welcome you back. Give it up for the one and only LaRoyce Hawkins, y'all. LaRoyce Hawkins.
Come on, man.
Nice.
That's love, OG.
Come on, man. That's real, bro.
From the heart, too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I can tell that means a lot.
Nah, man. I've seen a lot of people come and go, right? And that's just the nature of our business. Everybody ain't going to be around all the time. And what you do in the time that you're here is really important. The relationships you make in the time that you're here. It's not because you have done now 13 seasons on this series, or I used to see you on Ballers, or I watched you on House of Pain, all these different projects that you worked on. It's really who you are behind all those characters, behind the Atwater character, that appeals to me, and I think it's conducive and indicative of why it is that you survived so long and you traveled so far, and I don't even feel like you out of the first quarter of your career.
Man, that's love. I feel the same way, though. I feel like we just getting started.
You just getting started, right, LaRoyce?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even with this being the 13th season, you're just getting started.
I feel like I'm just getting started. We grateful for 13. I ain't gonna hold you. When I first got on the show, man, me and my family, my whole neighborhood, everybody was a little nervous. Because when you got that one black dude on the show full of white constituents, you know, it's hard to say how long he gonna last, and that's just the nature of
bro.
That's just the nature of storytelling. You know what I'm saying? But 13 seasons later, we still in the pocket.
Yeah,
and still a part of the plan. So I'm proud of that.
Man, you should be proud of that. And what you've had a kid since then, right?
Yeah. My son is 8 now.
Yeah. So when you started.
I know, right? When I started, I was dodging it. I ain't gonna hold you. I was looking for it, but it found me. Fatherhood found me, and I'm extra grateful for that because that truly changed my perspective. I started working even harder and thinking even longer about, you know, what legacy meant and the example that I wanted to be to my son. And it really shifted. It really shifted everything for me. Just as a storyteller, I'm like, all right, I want to tell stories that preserve black boy joy now, you know what I'm saying, that protect the black woman now, that uplifts the image of the black man, you know what I mean? And so that's extremely important to me and my family at this point, and I wouldn't be in that pocket without my son.
I love it, man. Your son, has he looked at you, and is he following in your footsteps? You know, does he want to be an actor now, or is he?
Man, he definitely got the light in him, and I can tell he's interested, but he's also very, very, very talented as an athlete. You know, I didn't start playing sports until I was like 11 or 12. You know, and I already told y'all that story once until I started playing with my duck, where I came outside and then I had to figure something out. But my son been playing basketball and football since he was like 5.
5 years.
And he's always played up. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday he had a game, and he's 8 years old, but he plays 9 through 11.
Wow.
On the flag football team.
Big guy.
Nice.
Is he nice?
He's nice. He's just fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't catch him. Once he get loose, it's over with.
That's it.
And he's real good at basketball too. I'm watching his handles develop in a very powerful way. You know, so me and his mom, we just do our best to support and keep him in the pocket. And he loves sports, but he also has it in him too. You know what I mean? I think he got an award at school. I think they call him the comeback kid. His teacher said he got the best comebacks.
The comeback kid.
The comeback kid.
Like and verbal comebacks.
Yeah, like the verbal comebacks.
Okay.
Like, you know, like he just witty. He got a great sense of humor. He been watching The Office since he was like 3.
Oh man, come on, man. You gotta love it. And
Do you
he's
use poetry?
8 years old.
Do you use poetry?
You say what?
Do you use poetry to help with his development and just in terms of parenting?
Well, I use poetry as a listening mechanism. I think poets listen different, so I just listen to my son a certain way. I haven't really introduced him to poetry that much outside of, like we freestyle and stuff. We'll put an instrumental on in the car and we'll freestyle. He definitely got chops. He got a couple songs that he made.
Yeah.
His rap name is Swag Daddy. That's what he calls it.
Swag Daddy, that's good.
He calls himself Swag Daddy?
He pulled up and just called himself Swag Daddy one day. I don't know where he got it from.
That's hard.
I like that kid, man.
I know, right?
I hang out with his uncle sometimes, man. I used to have, I was a young guy with swag too,
Yeah.
boy. So
That's what the kids call it, Riz now.
they call it Riz.
Riz. He said he got the Riz.
So the Riz is when you got the mouthpiece.
Right.
You can step up your vernacular.
And I be trying to introduce him to, I'm like, Riz came from a bigger word called charisma. I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. And he look at me like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He don't understand charisma. It's all Riz.
It's all Riz.
It's all Riz.
It's all Riz.
He'll learn later.
Yeah.
When you go to LaRoyce when you follow LaRoyce Hawkins, you'll often hear this man talk about right on and right on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like RIGHT
Right.
and WRITE.
Right.
Right? Break that down again.
Man, to be honest with you, my grandfather had a favorite cousin. I'm sure he's not alive anymore, but he was a poet. His favorite cousin was a poet, and that's how he would end all of his pieces. Right on, right on.
Yeah.
And naturally, right on has a lot to do with the movement. We say right on to each other as brothers when we agree, or as we motivate. And right on, obviously, is from pen to paper. Just like writing your legacy or even writing your goals. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's the point is to inspire you to continue to write whatever it is. And so I just thought that was cool. Plus, it was from the family cloth. So I was like, I'm gonna add that to my space. Right on.
Yeah.
To kind of keep my grandfather's favorite cousin alive.
That's dope. I was talking this morning, LaRoyce, about seeing and listening to Robert Townsend last night. And it was such a powerful conversation about spirituality, about gifts, about being present, about doing the work. And I'm listening to you speak, and kind of what you're touching on is reminding me of the conversation. Is he someone that you thought about working with or would like to work with? Is it somebody you need to get in front of,
Man, absolutely. I've been waiting to run into Robert Townsend.
Facts.
And he's one of those people that you almost feel like you have to prepare for before you meet. Like, I have so many questions and I have so much I want to say, just because ever since the 5 Heartbeats,
Yes,
I've been locked in.
Yes.
He's the uncle to one of my best friends, and she's a hairstylist on Chicago PD.
Wow.
And she works with me, so she's a part of my team. And so me and him communicate through her. We have great conversations, and he's aware of me. He knows, that I'm looking for him and that I can't wait to rock with him, but we just haven't had that opportunity yet.
Yeah, it's so ironic that you're here today, and I didn't plan on seeing him last night. He
Wow.
happened to be at a screening, and he was a part of the talk back. And I told Sway and the citizens this morning, I wanted to give him his space. I'm a huge fan from the 5 Heartbeats as well. That was my moment when I realized, like, this man is different, and I gave him his space last night. I wanted to say hello, but I realized he was in his own aura and tapped into something different. But I would love to see you guys work together, and I hope God has that for you, because I can see it.
Yeah,
Like,
I pray for
literally,
the
I can
same
see
thing.
it. Yeah,
I think that'd be
I think
great.
it would be dope. Yeah.
What a coincidence, though.
That's-
right?
Yeah.
And
Random.
I know this was just last night.
This
so
was a few hours ago, because
Wow.
I just got home in the AM, and I saw him, and just listening to you speak, I was like, he needs to get in front of him, it's just something like the magic
I think it's
happened.
on the way. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Well, every time Heather's had a vision or a dream or a thought that was with me, that I need to do something or something is coming for me, it always comes to fruition. So the fact that y'all having this conversation.
That's facts.
Well, one of the things he spoke about last night was that you can prepare and plan, but what he does is that he leaves room for the magic, and I think that's a part of that magic. You know, these conversations, what we think are coincidences, are not. It's just design. You know, God has his divine way of lining things up, and so you're out here, he's out here, the hairstylist friend connection. It'll all take place.
We relocated to L.A.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
At the same time you're out here. Yo, man.
I was trying to catch this one man, but I couldn't. He had a one man show in Oakland, right?
Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend.
Yeah.
Man, I was trying to catch it just so I can take notes and pick up what he was putting down.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the crowd didn't realize he had to remind people that he was a comedian as well. He said for some reason people forgot, you know, that he was a comedian, and it's fun. I know you do comedy. You do so much on stage. You guys have a lot in common. You'll run into him when it's time. It'll be dope. I'm here for
She
it.
just blessed you, LaRoyce. There
I
it
feel
is.
it.
I'll
We bless
have
each
to
other.
buzz it, man.
We bless
Appreciate
each
that,
other.
man.
Yes.
You're being forever indebted to her. Tracy, you want to jump in?
Congrats
What's
right
up,
now,
Tracy?
and congratulations to that fans, LaRoyce, for what's about to unfold. You know, on the subject, absolutely, on the subject of Townsend, and as well as when Sway mentioned right on, it made me wonder, for the stories that you want to continue telling, right? What do you feel like is a narrative about Black men that is still underrepresented?
Honestly, I think you know, right now I'm big on imagination. I think Black imagination is very underrated. And it starts at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Young Black imagination doesn't really get the resources sometimes and the opportunity that young white imagination does. And so when you grow up and mature into a man, you don't have that support, or you don't feel like life has helped you out thus far. And so I think that's the difference between the imaginations as we get older, is that historically ours just hasn't really been supported as much. And so I would love to see stories. It's funny, like Ironheart, right?
Yeah.
From
Gary Williams.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would love to see stories.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Stories like these that that promote and support Black imagination and inspire young Black minds that grow into older Black minds in a way that prepares them for the world, right? Because we're not as prepared as our white constituents often.
Yeah, and you know, and that goes to a fact that Mike Muse brings up a lot too. Somehow, I think it correlates with the vocabulary of young Black kids compared to other kids being substantially less at a younger age than it is for Caucasian kids, so on and so forth. They're using way more words, right? Perhaps they're being paid attention to way more than young Black kids as well. Maybe they're not being stifled for some of their ideas, or some of the behavior isn't being misdiagnosed. You know, a lot of our energy and behavior gets misdiagnosed, and then we get put in these boxes or these.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say, because imagine this, Tracy, if only a certain version or a certain corner of our imagination is utilized and promoted, right? And we are so unmonolithic. We're able to really go in various ways and be extremely diverse within our own imaginations, but only a certain portion of it is promoted, is put on. That's why most of us only feel like we can be rappers or athletes, you know what I mean? Because our dreams are deferred in other directions.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I think what I love about Ironheart and the character Riri Williams is that she's in the space where you don't find a lot of young Black girls, and Black women need to be in tech, obviously, because I think she's an example. And Dominique Thorne is just a genius herself.
Incredible,
You know what I'm saying? She's just smart as a whip, and so I think it's very appropriate that she plays this character. And I'm grateful that I can be the dad that planted a seed. You know, planted the seed, and we see how it grew. It grew into something pretty amazing.
LaRoyce Hawkins is here, man, celebrating his 13th season of Chicago PD. Also, NAACP award nominee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, they starting to see you, bro.
Man, it was incredible, man. I was thrown off. One of my homegirls, Danielle Pinnock, who actually just won the NAACP award for Best Supporting Actress. for her role on Ghost. She cold. Her and I started off as understudies at the Goodman Theater.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's where her and I met. Yeah, yeah. But I remember she DM'd me and was like, "Hey, friend, you got?" I was like, "Is this real?" She was like, "Yeah, I think it's real." I tapped in on my team. I was like, "Man, I can't believe it. I didn't know they was paying attention."
Yeah. They see you, man.
Yeah, that's love.
We see you, and you're doing it your way, man. LaRoyce
Appreciate
Hawkins, to be on a series for 13 seasons, I would imagine that's an actor's dream.
Yeah.
Number one, you got 13 seasons of checks.
Yeah.
Right, coming in, and that creates a foundation that allows you to stretch out and do the right on tours and do your poetry and all the other things that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah, but has it ever become monotonous? Like, how do you stay enthused for 13 seasons about a character?
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like I was booked right off the block. It wasn't. I felt like I kind of came from behind. Like I've always had this energy of urgency, right? Like I had to catch up. So even now, I'm still excited to go to work and learn. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I didn't have as much experience as everybody else on the series. And so I've truly appreciated this time. Season by season, I just do my best to pick up the little things and get a little bit better every time. I can't wait to apply what I've learned from 12 to 13. You know what I mean? And so I think if you think about it like that, it doesn't get monotonous or redundant. You know what I mean? It keeps it fresh for me because I'm still learning a lot. Yeah. And every little thing I learn, I apply the pressure. And then you start feeling good about yourself once you utilize what you've learned and it works. You're like, oh, damn, boy, I'm getting better. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
Man, as you should, man. Give it up for this man, LaRoyce Hawkins, coming in here looking lean, Tracy, looking like an urban action figure right now.
You
I
so
had to give him a
motivated,
pound and a
Sway?
hug. I got motivated. When I hugged him, I was like, yo, man, he feel like I used to feel right now, you know?
So motivated to do what?
Just motivated, Heather.
Just motivated.
Just motivated.
Yeah.
Now I want to get lean again. I mean, you're doing I've heard of people doing fast, right? Obviously, I've fasted myself at times in my life. A water fast, I've never done. You're doing a water fast.
Yeah.
What kind of research do you do before you jump into a water fast?
I don't do none.
Okay, that's
I ain't
smart.
gonna hold you.
Okay, all right.
I just listen to the Spirit.
Okay.
Spirit told me to do it, and I was just obedient. And at this point, I think it's more of an exercise in obedience than even for the look. It's about being locked in, you know. Because at first, obviously, there were I was looking at my obliques, and I got motivated myself. So I was like, dang, I could tighten them up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, in the summertime, you start enjoying yourself. And what I learned is a thin line between enjoying yourself and loving yourself. You know what I mean? Okay. And so I was enjoying myself a lot, but I wasn't loving myself necessarily by, being disciplined, eating a certain way, working out consistently. And so the water fast started as like a get thin quick kind of thing, but it's not that. Yeah. Because around day 5, 6, you start to realize it's bigger than that. You know what I mean? It's really about being locked in. I noticed the difference in my writing. I feel a lot closer to the source. Can you speak to that, though? Like,
a lot closer to the source. Talk about the spiritual benefits from fasting, water fasting for you.
Man, Jesus did 40 days, 40 nights.
Right.
Once upon a time. And I got a homegirl who said she just finished her 40. I was like, ooh, you cold. I don't know. But what I'm learning is, case in point, before I started, I was locked in. Me and my little brother, Sub-Zero Beats. We writing all night with my other homie, Black Male, and we eating candy and drinking Japanese whiskey, a little wavy, and I liked what I was writing. It was cool. I wasn't mad at it when I looked at it the next day. Around day 12, in between day 12 and 13, I revisited those bars. I didn't love them, but I'm tapped into the source differently, and I've noticed the depth in the layers now in my writing. And I was like, dang, I see the difference between the spirit, naturally, and the body. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I'm grateful for whatever the gift is, but when you can actually collaborate with the spirit, when you locked in, it's just a difference in your writing. And I think that's the difference between the people who are our favorites as far as storytellers and barbarians, you know what I mean, and the other ones.
Did you find, because I found as I fasted, I was locked in, but I was also, my receptors were up. So when people came in the room, like your sister Lo came in the room, my brother right here, I feel energy, right? I gather energy. And when I fasted, I gathered so much energy I couldn't go outside because I'm reading people right, next to me. Not everything you read is favorable, right? Do you find that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I ain't going to hold you, big homie. I got some dark information. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It enlightened me. I'm grateful for it. But when you're hungry, pain feels worse. Well, you know what I mean? It hits you different, But you truly have to embrace it. And I'm grateful for that, for those moments, But I definitely found myself being a lot more thoughtful, a lot more thorough. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to think ahead when you're behind, but when your receptors are up, like you say, you thinking on all cylinders.
You thinking on all cylinders. Yeah. Yo, this is what I like about LaRoyce, man. We don't. You never know where the conversation's gonna go. I like this, man. We're gonna open up these phone lines too. LaRoyce Hawkins is here. If you watch Chicago PD or you've seen his work in other areas, call us up 888-742-3345. And I got a question for you when we come back.
Copy that.
All right, Shade 45. Yeah, Shade 45. We got LaRoyce Hawkins here celebrating the 13th season of Chicago PD, along with all the amazing work she's been doing. The Right On and Right On tour that he's been doing around poetry and as well as comedy. And I mentioned earlier in the conversation they starting to see you now. You got the NAACP nomination. Joe Budden, who has biggest podcast platform there is, actually came to see you perform recently, right?
Yeah, he pulled up on me in Jersey at the Life After restaurant. We had a powerful show too, Black Ice. The legendary Black Ice.
Come on, man. Yeah, Rich Nice just produced his album.
Right. So he pulled
I was
up
in the studio.
Yeah. K-Love, the poet, pulled up and had an amazing set. Solo, a battle rapper who in my humble opinion is a real heavy talker. So he opened up for us, and it was packed wall to wall. I ain't expect Jersey to pull up on me like that.
Don't do that. I'm from Jersey.
Oh, wow. I know, but
we come out.
I see that now.
We come out.
I thought y'all was busy in Jersey. I thought y'all had stuff to do.
It's different parts. Sway think everything is Newark and you get carjacked. It's pull out for people, man.
Was it a parking lot outside the venue?
Yeah, it was a whole
filled
garage
with a lot of cars.
Oh yeah, for a fact.
Jersey gonna show up.
But I feel like Joe pulled up and he had a good time. You know what I'm saying? I think we surprised him with the energy that was in the room.
Well, Joe Budden's an artist, right?
Yeah.
And he's a poet in his own right.
From Jersey.
When you go back and look and read Joe Budden lyrics
from
Jersey.
From Jersey. Yeah.
He's a poet in his own right.
He's a heavy talker too.
Yeah, heavy talker, right?
Yeah.
So how did he respond to your show?
I think he responded very well. His I think the highlight for him was seeing K-Love.
Okay.
K-Love, the poet. He really thought she was hard. He was like, man, I think she a rapper, man. She could take on any rapper out here. Yeah. And she probably could.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love that Joe Budden, folks like us, we came up in and around, poetry when Def Poetry Jam was so important to poetry. Is it room for another something like that, or is that what you're doing?
Well, yeah, but I'm doing my best to introduce the average LaRoyce Hawkins fan to poetry. Okay. Because a lot of people know me for being Kevin Atwater. And I appreciate that platform, and I'm grateful for, the eyes and the ears that I have in that space. And my thought was, if I can shift, as much of that energy as possible to poetry, then I think, I just think that'd be a good look for the craft. Jay Ivey, who's a big homie of mine, I just did a show with him at the City Winery in Chicago. He's starting his tour also, and so I hosted that, and that was amazing. But he brought Common out. George Daniels was in the building.
Daniels was in the building?
What? George Daniels put up over in the back.
The legend, George Daniels. Yeah. Look him up. Chicago's finest. If you don't know who he is, that's my mentor.
Oh, yeah. George Daniels, the truth. Definitely OG. And You know, and so I think there's a resurgence and something like a renaissance right now going on with poetry. Jay Ivey blazed the trail to allow the Academy to, give us a category that we can respect. And so you got poets out there now, doing their best to hit the scene and lock in on albums and really make something, make projects, which I think is important.
Who's your top 5 poets?
Top 5 poets.
People always ask top 5s. I don't hear poets a lot.
Yeah. I gotta throw Langston Hughes in there.
Langston Hughes.
I'm gonna go Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes got a cold piece. You ever heard the motto?
Tell it by Drake?
No.
Oh, Langston.
You know
Langston
what?
Hughes. Langston Hughes, no, that's different.
How does it go?
Yeah, he said I play it cool and dig all jive. That's the reason I stay alive. The motto, as I live and learn, is to dig and be dug in return. The motto.
That's it?
Yeah. When Langston Hughes did that, I was like, yeah, it's over with. Who else? I'm lost for words, but you know who this brother is. He's
Black Eyes. Older, younger?
older.
Okay.
Older. Dang, what did he give us?
Okay, well, maybe this is a tough question, man.
No, it's not tough. I just can't think his name all of a sudden. I'm still floating off the water fast.
Okay.
And now it'll lose me. But
Okay,
but I am, to be honest with you, I'm putting Black Ice in there.
Black Ice.
I'm putting Black Ice in
Okay.
my top 5 because I remember watching Def Poetry, and he felt like the Michael Jordan of the craft at the time. You know what I'm saying? The first and last poet to be signed to Def Jam. You know what I mean? So that's something that I always felt like was extremely powerful. So I'm throwing him in there. I'm also gonna throwing Rudyard Kipling in there.
Oh, okay.
You familiar with Rudyard?
Yeah. Break it down.
Come on, man. Rudyard Kipling honestly wrote Jungle Book. Like we get Jungle Book from Rudyard Kipling, but my favorite poem from his is If.
And how does that go?
If you can be, I forgot that next word. If you can be something and all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. The poem is long, but it's a staple in my humble opinion.
What about women poets? Anybody come to mind?
Definitely got to throw Nikki Giovanni in there.
Nikki Giovanni, man.
Yeah.
We got a chance to interview her a couple of times,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, man. It was when people say what's one of the highlight interviews you ever done, that's one of them, bro. That's in my top 5.
For a fact.
Just to sit next to Nikki Giovanni
Yeah.
at that time, man, rest in power. That was just an amazing experience to have twice, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was able to I had a homegirl who recorded a clip from one of her last speeches and sent it to me. It's like 45 minutes long. And I locked in on it, and she just had so many powerful things to say, just about the culture, about her experience. I love her story about how she met Rosa Parks. You know what I'm saying? Like all that is cold. And you gotta throw Maya Angelou in there as well.
Got to throw Maya Angelou in there. Come on, man. I like your 5.
I appreciate
You
that.
got a nice 5 right there,
That's
man.
a nice 5.
You talked about locking in. I'm curious, being multi-talented. All right, you have to know your lines. You have to run lines. You have to go back and forth. Then you're a writer, a poet. So that's very specific, in my opinion. And then you do stand-up. When do you have time to practice?
I practice all the time, and I've learned that I can't let a conversation go sometimes without testing something. It can be a concept in my head, and then I like to bring it up in conversation first and see how the response is. You know what I'm saying? Just one-on-one. Sometimes it could be a small room like this one, you know what I'm saying? And you throw something out there, see how the people pick it up, and then I can tell if I could do it on stage or not. So yeah, I'm always kind of locked in. I think because I don't really have the time not to be. I hate walking away from moments and being like, man, why didn't I say that? Or, man, why didn't I should have did it like this. If I would have did it like this, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm always critiquing my own conversation, and I think that's what kind of keeps me on my toes usually. Yeah.
LaRoyce Hawkins is here, man. You from Chicago. What's your relationship with or the outskirts of Chicago. What's your relationship with Deion Cole?
Oh, man, Deion Cole's a big homie.
Yeah.
I ran into him a few times.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's moments when me and Deion Cole look like each other sometimes, a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I was going to get to that.
Depending on the day, you know what I'm saying? If I leave my conditioner in,
yeah.
You know what?
Me and Deion Cole could be cousins for
The
sure.
hair texture.
But it's a thing. I feel like you're a Renaissance guy. Chicago got a lot of that. Cootie and Chike, those are my guys.
Yep,
know, Jay Ivy, you know, all those are all my guys.
Yeah.
You know, Deion, y'all do a multitude of things. Nobody does one thing.
Yeah.
That's you grew up like that, or?
Man, I think he's just coming from Harvard. You kind of got to wear a lot of hats. And be honest with you, by the time I really took entertainment seriously as a young man, and stand-up was my first love, I didn't know what was going to blow.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Ray Charles impersonator for 4 years.
You were a Ray Charles impersonator?
Yeah.
Ahead,
Like hired to be Ray Charles?
Hired to be Ray Charles.
What did you
Wow.
do?
Like I did the Taste of Chicago a couple years in a row. I did big festivals. This was around when, remember, Hurricane Katrina had happened, and I did a benefit concert with this mock Beatles band called the Liverpool Legends.
Okay.
There was these middle-aged white dudes that was just good at being the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my homies was Ray Charles, but we was all in high school. That's what made it dope, because we had the shtick was we young kids playing this mature music. And so my homie, he was the other half of Ray Charles. His name's Robert Bradley. Great musician. Robert Bradley would actually be playing the piano. I would be the one acting like I was Ray Charles.
Mm-hmm.
You was about to go into it. Give us a. I saw you about to go. Give us Ray, man. Can we?
Yeah, I got a worry. Ray over town. That's good to me. Oh yes. Say I got a woman way over town. Good to me. Oh yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. How she love me so tenderly. That's all you can get for free, sir.
Really dope. Wow.
Shit, I wanted to do some drops. This is Ray Charles on Sway in the Morning. Can you give me one of those?
I'll get one of those later. But I ain't going to hold you. That's a big shout out to Jamie Foxx, who I haven't met yet. But I saw that movie and it changed my life. At the time, I was on the speech team.
Okay.
And the speech team is they kind of introduced me to comedy and acting. And every Saturday morning you put a suit on and you compete against other students right around the state. And my events were original comedy. Mm-hmm. And so I had to write my own piece that had a beginning, middle, and end. Mm-hmm. And I watched a state champion the year before win state, and he had all these impressions. Mm-hmm. I never forget his name, white boy named Tim Idle, and he was nice. And he did like Muppet Babies, put himself on trial, and he was great at all these impressions. And I was like, man, if I'm going to win state, I got to get an impression.
Yeah.
And Ray came out that summer.
Damn.
And I saw it, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I added Ray Charles to my bit, and I would actually win state the next year.
Wow.
And that was a big reason why, because, you know, I locked in on Ray and allowed Ray to really, you know, take the piece to another level. And before I knew it, all my homies were in band. Uh-huh. So I had a AP history teacher named Brett Fickus. He was like, I think y'all should really think about doing that. And he had connections to clubs that we weren't even old enough to be in, but we would go and perform in these spots. And so I would borrow the band, literally from the band director, and we would learn this music, and we would just go gig. And so it started off as an impression for a bit that I was doing. Before I knew it, we had a whole band called the Ray Charles Experience.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We started to show off. What did Robert Townsend say about work?
Do your work and leave room for the magic.
There it is.
Yeah, man.
That's look like what LaRoyce is doing, man. We
Yeah.
got Keith on the line from Texas. Keith, welcome to the show.
Hey, Keith.
What's happening, Keith?
Hey, everybody, what's going on? I'm going to make this real quick because I know a lot of times when people call in, they're long-winded. So I'm going to ask a question to Brother LaRoyce. Then I'm going to give flowers. And then I'm going to make a possible drop that citizens have been waiting for to hear, and then I'm going to hop off. So here's my question. Brother LaRoyce, when you do crossover episodes, do you prepare for that differently than you would just your regular episodes? And then let me get my flowers. Heather B is the dopest female lyricist in the history of ever, and go argue with your mama because that's how I live. And then here's the drop that the citizens have always wanted. This is Sway in the Morning on Sway 45. This is Keith in Texas. Yeah, I'm out. Have a good one.
All right, man. He knocked it down.
Wow.
Hey, he told us what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Then he did it.
That was like an audition.
Done. I won't keep it come back.
Yo. Keep out of there.
He hung up before Sway hung up on him because Sway hang up on long-winded people.
Not true. But
that's hilarious.
That's a good question.
To answer this question, the question is, do you prepare differently for those crossover moments? And I think so, but not as differently as you would for one of your regular episodes. But I just think you prepare more, and you prepare yourself for the mental strain that it can put on you, because it's hard with the scheduling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so what you prepare yourself for is not knowing what to expect. You prepare yourself for the elements, whether it's weather, like I said, scheduling. Sometimes it could be anything, but no, it's definitely more of a mental. It's more of a mental move when you're doing those crossovers than anything.
Wow. Man, LaRoyce Hawkins is here. I'm going to keep saying his name, okay? Congratulations. 13
Yes.
seasons.
Woo!
Chicago PD. The Right On Poetry Tour. Ironheart with Marvel and Disney Plus. Man, I'm proud of you, family.
That drops today. Yes, sir.
Man.
Yep.
You're part of the Marvel universe.
And
Man,
Anthony
it's
Ramos
crazy.
and Dominique will be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word?
Yes.
That's hard. Look at
Yep.
it. Look at it.
What question you want to ask them, if you could? Anthony Ramos and Dominique.
Man, those the homies, man. I want to ask them how they feel about it. Yesterday was my first time seeing it, and I wished that I had seen it before I did, like that little press run on the carpet yesterday, because all I had was my imagination and like how I prepared for the role prior to. Gary Williams is an auto mechanic.
Yeah.
And I got a big cousin named Calvin, who's also an auto mechanic, and I just pulled up on him a few times a week, and I would just kind of watch him work, try to get his approach to what it is that he does, and it's like you don't know how anything works unless you're able to take it apart. And so I think that's a big lesson that I learned from my big cousin, and that's something that the character teaches Riri Williams also. But if I would have seen the movie, or at least seen the first couple episodes first,
Yeah.
I would have, I think, contributed a lot better to some of those Q&As. And one of the things I would have told him was that this series has a lot to do with being able to do the most with the least. Riri Williams doesn't have the same resources that Tony Stark did, with him being the billionaire, and with her being a young black woman, really with little to no resources at all, but still able to improve, on technology that he started. To me, that was the most impressive part about what this story means. Black imagination, like I said earlier, Tracy, isn't as supported, doesn't get as much fuel, you know what I mean? Yet and still we're able to thrive and plant seeds that grow into something crazy. And so, I think there's going to be a great motivator for the culture, especially young black girls, but also brown and black people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then, man, Anthony, that's the homie, man. He crazy. Yeah. And when you talk about talented, you know what I'm saying, but crazy in the best way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Me and him spent some time together in Chicago. He was working on something, and we actually got to kick it, and learned a lot about that space, man. You know what I mean? And it motivated me. It motivated me. You know what I mean?
That space meaning being on those huge platforms.
Being on those huge platforms.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, I think the higher you go, sometimes the more grounded you have to be. You know what I'm saying? And that brother's very grounded. Got good family around him.
His
you know
brother's always with him.
His brother always with him.
Yeah.
And that's an example, too. I always got family with me. You know what I mean? So me and him learned a lot, man. I had some good times in Chicago. Y'all gonna have a good time tomorrow.
Man, come on, let's do it, man. Ironheart, make sure y'all support that.
Yes, sir.
Support LaRoyce Hawkins, man. I'll be remiss if I didn't ask you to leave us with a piece of your own.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Please.
All right, I got you.
Okay, I already know, man.
Yeah.
I think you should take the toothpick, unless that's a part of the character.
No. I'm gonna get it out the way just in case. Okay. Can I tell you a story?
Would you please, brother?
I got you. In the beginning, when everything was even, there was no good and no such thing as evil. God saw it was decent every morning and evening. And Adam and Eve was his latest achievement. Imagine falling to the gap of the Garden of Eden, the antecedent of everything you believe in. Riptides in the Tigris and Euphrates. I'm reminded of the signs and situations like monkeys see and monkeys do. Monkeys swing and monkeys hang, but never eat the fruit. I swear to God, if it's a problem, it's probably true. I swear to God, if it's a problem, it's probably you. Watch this. If you can smell the eucalyptus, hear the ukulele. It was an event everywhere that Eve went. To be the first doesn't mean she was the perfect lady. Every season had a different reason. Since the very first day, she was fashionably late. Eve swore to drop every drip the day before. Bold scale, you could tell she wasn't scared of snakes. God body in the bag, she would elevate. Monkeys see and monkeys do. Monkeys swing and monkeys hang, but never eat the fruit. I swear to God, if it's a problem, it's probably true. I swear to God, if it's a problem, it's probably you. Genesis 3, part 1. Part 2 coming soon.
I love that. Give it up for wow. Come on, wow.
Food for thought.
If there's a problem, Tracy.
What you trying to say?
Deeper than that, you have to be a special writer, a lyricist, and just understand the breakdown of the word Eve, the different levels to it. It's a whole different kind of situation that happened. I know. I heard it.
I know you heard it. I felt you catch it. I was like, I have to be the only one to know what I'm talking about.
I'm looking you right in your eye, and that's what you came up with? Nah, just that's what I love about it. LaRoyce Hawkins, man, you're truly a gift, a talented individual.
Multi-talented.
And anywhere we are, you are welcome. Okay?
That's love.
Continued success, brother.
Copy that.
I'm glad we made this happen. I can't wait to put this interview up and put that poetry out again as we did last year around this time.
Here we go.
Okay, LaRoyce Hawkins, y'all. Give that man a big round of applause.
Yes,
thank y'all.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Heather, as you mentioned, our guest tomorrow.
Anthony Ramos and Dominique Thorne.
Okay.
Pulling up.
We want to thank the citizens for tuning in. Your sister, Lo. Lo, good to meet you. Family. Say your name again. Vic. My man Vic. What's up with West Side Boogie, man? Okay, come on, man. Y'all did the first Garage series with us with Honey Baby.
Yeah, so I just started managing Bug last.
You gotta come to the mic, Vic.
Oh, okay, yeah, Vic ain't used to the mic, man.
So I just started collaborating with Bug last year.
Okay.
So we've been working on this new album and this new mixtape coming. So we're gonna come up here for sure. It's a guaranteed stop.
There you go. So let's do something special too. We'll do something different with it.
Yes,
all
sir.
right, Vic,
Yes,
my
sir.
man. LaRoyce, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Continue to give, brother. We need it.
You know I
all
will.
right. Absolutely. You guys stay on the right side of positivity. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing. And on that note, we got nothing left to say.